Hey everybody, Dr. John here for extraktLAB. Hey, if you're running an ethanol extractor, do you know the sources of ethanol extraction pollution? Maybe not. I'm going to go through some of those key areas right now. The first is hazardous solid waste. Ethanol is left in the biomass after extraction, and that really becomes a hazardous waste. What do you do with that? Can you compost it? Not usually, because you have all that solvent in there. It's a flammable material. You can't really stick it outside without treating it. So what a lot of people do is they heat it up and they get rid of the VOCs that way. The second is the VOC that really comes from removing the solvent from the biomass. And oftentimes what happens is that ethanol or the butane or the propane or whatever that's left in the biomass outgasses, it goes up into the atmosphere and that creates smog. So that really is the second area of pollution. The third is hazardous solvent waste. As you start to use your solvent, you can't just keep using it again and again and again. You have to stop using it at some time because it becomes built up with contaminants. Well, you have to do something with that solvent and it becomes hazardous solvent waste. You call a company to manifest that waste. Oftentimes it's incinerated and it produces a greenhouse gas. So that's why it's called hazardous solvent waste. Also, ethanol extraction is very high energy intensity. It creates a lot of need for energy draw, basically in the chilling and also in the heating, but really in the evaporation itself is really where a lot of the energy comes from. So it's a very high energy technique. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is really the high deficit solvent. It really takes a lot of greenhouse gases and a lot of BTUs of energy, or watts of energy, if you will, to create a gallon of ethanol or a liter of ethanol. So if you really look at the literature, there's some studies that are published by Cornell. It's very, very high deficit when you use that solvent. So it's not very what they would consider to be an ethical extraction material. Also, you really need to understand the consequences of all these sources of pollution on those around you. So the people outside, the people who are breathing the smog that's coming from your particular operation, or drinking the groundwater that is coming from the landfill or around the landfill where your hazardous waste is being deposited. These are things that we all need to be thinking about when we're looking to have a lower environmental footprint and a better greenhouse gas situation for our company. If you want to calculate the size of your greenhouse gas footprint, we have a calculator that we've created online that will give you an estimate of how much greenhouse gas you're putting out into the environment. Thanks for joining us. I hope this was helpful. Take care now.